guys, Metal Jesus here. Now it is 2020 and I have a new house, and you know what that means? I have a new game room. Let's take a look. Now before we get started, I do have to clarify something, and that is when I say game room, well, that's not really accurate, because when my wife and I bought this house, she was very cool and she told me, hey, you can take the entire first floor. So this tour is actually, well, it's 3 game rooms plus some extra stuff. And what's cool about this is that because I have so much room now, I'm able to unpack and display stuff that I have never shown in a video. So this is gonna be very cool. So let's go ahead and start with the main game room. You see it here, although this is not how it normally looks. It normally looks like this. So as you see here, one of the things I love to do in my game room is have a bunch of colored LEDs and really be able to set the mood and the atmosphere how I like to have it. So on the left side of the room where I have the couch, I have a bunch of Philip Hue lights, both in the ceiling and also as a rope that's around the television and also behind that entertainment center. And then in the bar area, I have a different set of LEDs I can control as well. And when it came time for me to rethink how I wanted all of this to look, one of the goals that I had is I didn't really want to just jam it full of random stuff, because as you guys know, in my previous house, the space was much smaller and I was utilizing it very well, but it was almost claustrophobic. There was too much stuff in every single space. It was admittedly cool looking, but it was a lot. And so in my new house, one of the things I really wanted to do was just open things up and not fill it with stuff everywhere. I wanted to let it breathe because I film down here, but I also have my friends over and I hang out down here. I wanted it to be a little bit more spacious. And because the bar was already here when we bought the house, it really kind of facilitated this idea and made me rethink, okay, you know, how do I actually want to organize all this? I also took the advice of you guys when it came time on how to organize my room. And you guys overwhelmingly suggested that I break it up into consoles versus PC. So, and that's what you see here. It's all consoles and console games. And I really love this corner over here that has both my stand-up MAME arcade machine as well as the newly acquired GameCube kiosk. And it's great because when I have people over, there's plenty of room for people to be on both machines and not feel cramped. In my previous game room, the MAME arcade machine was cool to have, but it just was cramped. It was hard to get back there. It was hard to even turn it on, let alone just stand in front of it and actually play games. Now, speaking of the bar, this was something that I've never had in a house that I've owned before, and this was really fun to set up. As you'll see here, I took the opportunity and put the Vectrex sitting on the bar, just ready to be walked up and played as well. I thought that was a really cool idea. It's got the multi-card in there, so it basically has every Vectrex game ever made on it, plus some homebrew games. You'll see that I also have the Capcom home arcade unit sitting there, which is perfect for 2 players sitting at the bar. And then right now on the TV, I have the Super Nintendo Mini hooked up, but I'm using the wireless 8-bit DOE controllers, which is really nice because there's no wire to go across that big gap there. And I'll probably hook up the other mini consoles here as well. Maybe put a little simple switch so people can go back and forth, or I can put on a game if people want to watch something, or maybe some music videos. Probably one of my favorite things I've added is this Marshall Stack amp. Or is it? If you open it up, you find out it is actually a refrigerator stocked with beer and other beverages. How cool is that? And then resting on top of the Marshall refrigerator is my trusty 1981 Gibson Les Paul Custom that I've had for over 2 decades now. It's been through a lot, but it still rocks. You gotta love these Atari shot glasses. These are perfect if Drunken Master Paul is over and he wants to step up the partying. A nice little bonus of this bar area is that there is tons and tons of storage. So as you see here, I can put kind of all of the odds and ends that I typically use when I'm messing around with my consoles, whether they're power strips or wires or what have you. Plus there's lots of room here for me to put storage for things like the handhelds and other cartridges, just really anything I need. So all told, in this room, I have 3 televisions hooked up and ready to go, depending on the console and the connection type. So I have my trusty CRT, which I primarily use for really old systems that either want an RF signal, like the original Atari and the ColecoVision and the Intellivision, or if I want to play Lycan games like on the PlayStation 1 or 2. And then I have the 2 4K televisions for pretty much everything else. You see the larger one here, and right now it's got hooked up a PlayStation 4 Pro, an Xbox One X, and the Nintendo Switch. And this is where my stereo is set up as well, including the turntable. Over here I'm highlighting some of my current favorite consoles and some of the more interesting and weird ones that I have in my collection. They're really fun to look at and put on display. But I could, at a moment's notice, hook any of these up and play them very quickly. And it's really important for me to be able to do that because while this is a cool game room, I need it to be functional because I am constantly making videos and capturing gameplay footage across 40 years worth of games. This shelf is cool because it highlights some of the handhelds in my collection. Many of these are modded in some way. Either they're backlit, so they're much improved over the original, or in the case of the Game Boy Advance, well, that's running a completely different operating system. It's actually an emulator. Let's go ahead and move on down the hall to the other rooms, but first we're going to stop under the stairs. People ask about my band, and you see some of the band equipment here. So we got a bunch of guitars, as well as my wife's drum kit in there. Those are ready to go in case we got a gig. And then there's this closet here that, as you see, is filled with a bunch of accessories. So again, I'm keeping this close to the other room because you never know if you need to grab a third-party controller or some sort of adapter. This is filled with grips and all sorts of random stuff in here. So just more storage. At the end of the hallway, I had this really narrow closet that I didn't know what to do with. And I decided that's where I was going to put all my PSP and Vita games. I thought about trying to cram this into the main room, but again, I didn't want to just clutter things for clutter's sake. So put these down at the hallway here. It's not that far of a walk if I need to go and pick out some awesome PSP or Vita games to play. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the second largest room. And this is a room that I'm really kind of calling my office. Although the way I'm setting each one of these up is that I can film in all 3 of them. And that's the way that they're organized. That's the way that they're designed. That's the way that they're going to be lit. And so yes, I do all of my video editing here and the voiceover that you hear right now, but I'm also going to be shooting videos in here as well. And so this is the start of my big box PC game collection. And this was really fun to dig into because for years and years now, a huge portion of my big box PC game collection was just sitting in storage because I didn't have any place to display it. So now I'm able to dig into it and finally put it on shelves. I do want to be clear though that when I say big box PC, I'm really referring to personal computers that existed mostly in the 80s and the 90s. So this is a huge mix of MS-DOS, Amiga, Commodore 64, Atari home computers, just everything. And so right now everything's kind of mixed together. I haven't really decided exactly how I'm going to organize this, so love to know what you guys think because I don't think alphabetized is going to be the way to go. There's just too many of them, maybe by system or computer, something like that. In the corner here, you see my trusty Ibanez guitar. I love this guitar. It's my main gigging guitar because it's a guitar that you can just thrash around and it stays in tune. It's brilliant. And here is my Boss Katana amp, which I absolutely love because it's so versatile. You can actually control the wattage, so it's perfect for just practicing at home or if you're going to be on stage. Plus it's got all of the amp and effects modeling, so sounds fantastic. I'll have to do a video on it in the future. Speaking of music, here's where I keep all my vinyl records. And here's my little shrine to Sierra Online, both popular titles as well as some really weird and obscure ones. I'm pretty sure I'm one of the few people that remembers Urban Runner, Alien Legacy, Battle Bugs, and Space Bucks. There's a really nice storage area behind these closet doors here. Tons of room back here for empty console boxes. And then in these bins, I use Ziploc bags to try to organize and make sense of this entire mess here. So in the top here, I primarily have a bunch of power cables. And as you can imagine, 40 years worth of consoles. There are a lot of different types. It's nice having them all in one drawer. Below that are a bunch of video cables that I might need depending on the system I'm playing. In the corner here, I have set up an area for classic PC gaming. So on the bottom there, you see the two old Windows machines I have, Windows 98 and Windows XP. There's also the Amiga and the Commodore 64. But in my old space, I didn't have anything quite like this. So I'm trying to make it so that I can very quickly set up, an old computer system here to either capture footage or play games, or maybe even one day stream. And here is my main work computer, which as you can see is a 27-inch iMac. Now, the reason why I use this is because I prefer to use Final Cut Pro 10. In the past, I've used other video editing software like Premiere and Vegas, stuff like that. But I like Final Cut because it's faster, and in my experience, it's been more stable. But I do have a fairly modern Dell laptop here that primarily gets used for Steam, or if I need something that's very Windows specific, this is available. Let's go ahead and check out the third room, which is a lot of fun because it's basically overflow of everything that didn't fit in the other ones. And this is really cool because this is where I'm able to put out stuff that would normally be in boxes, stuff that I may not need to get access to, but it's cool to show. So that wall right there is jam-packed full of more big box PC games. It's funny because if you saw that video a couple years ago where I got those 600 big box PC games, well, they came with a ton of Star Trek games. So finally, I'm able to put those on a shelf here. So many Star Trek games I had no idea even existed. Sadly, we need to pour one out in remembrance of the awesome company called IndieBox that used to release brand new PC games in the big box collector's editions here. You see, I think 10 of them right here. Sadly, they no longer make these. This shelf right here has a bunch of Atari games, both 2600, 5200, and 7800. There are some Intellivision games, as well as some game-related novels, and then right below that are a bunch of arcade sticks. This lower shelf here is got a lot of fun stuff in it, including, as you see in the upper left there, all of those retro gamer magazines. Below that, you have a bunch of strategy guides, and then below that and to the right are just a ton of retro gaming magazines, both for consoles and also for PCs. So you'll see things like Game Informer magazine, a bunch of Nintendo Powers are in there, plus PC gamers. It's just a mishmash of a little of everything. And I love collecting magazines. I've been doing it for years. I've bought lots off of people from Craigslist and just have never had the space to actually put them out. So it's cool to be able to just walk in here and grab a really old one and take a trip back in time. And then to the right of that is something that most of you have never seen because it's been in boxes for probably 14 years, and that is my music CD collection. As I've mentioned before, I used to work in a record store during the grunge era in Seattle. And so working in that store, I got access to a bunch of really cool stuff. Now, originally my CD collection was way bigger than this, but I had a garage sale a long time ago, sold a bunch of them, but I kept the ones that I really loved or I thought were really interesting or maybe would be, hard to find in the future. And so there's just a mix of favorite albums and stuff that, again, might be kind of hard to find, including my own release, which came out on CD. So cool to have that in the collection. Yes, on there is the original version of my theme song. As I'm sure you've noticed throughout this video, I've also been able to dig out of storage and display a lot of the action figures that I have in my collection, which again is very cool. Most of these have not been displayed in, a decade or more. On this shelf is where I'm storing a lot of my movies, both the PSP UMD movies up there at the top, as well as music DVDs right there. And then when you get a little bit lower, it starts getting into stuff like anime, including something that is pretty special and close to my heart, which is Bubblegum Crisis. So I used to work at the company that actually published that. That was a really cool time. And if you haven't seen Bubblegum Crisis before, you should definitely check it out. It's pretty cool. So guys, that is a quick look at my new and improved game room for 2020. Now, I've said it in previous game room tours, and I'll say it again here, that some of the coolest stuff in my game collection has actually come from viewers like you. Other collectors have sold me stuff, we've done trades, people have donated, and so much cool stuff in my game room is because of the awesome people who have watched my videos. So I really, really appreciate it. Now, if you have more questions about my game room setup or a specific thing that you saw in the background that I maybe didn't cover, go ahead and leave a comment down below and I will try to answer it. All right, guys, I want to thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you for subscribing and take care.